we can get started. We actually came up with a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We found something valuable in exocomps that we want to discuss. The only thing that's valuable. In case you
Armada damage?
don't know. Nope. You'll find out.
Research speed up? I gotta know now! I'm kidding. Go
Spence is killing him.
So, in case you don't know, Dread changed their name. I know a lot of you know already, but we're going to announce that. The Icarus Factor event that's going on right now. Discord, why that's a really important part of an alliance and why. Armadas. Cook, have we talked about armadas on this before? I think we've talked about that a couple of times.
Armada is like the never-ending story. It just keeps coming. Or I guess it should be more like
it's a song that never ends.
We've definitely touched on it a few times.
It's the Energizer rabbit. It just keeps going and going and going.
So some discussions on time management, efficiency, how to best go about, getting events done. And it's been a year, Cook tells me, since Eve Echoes came out. And we lost a bunch of players, and a lot of them came back. So we're going to talk about that experience. Me and Cook have stories with that.
I don't think there's been a single player that hasn't come back.
Yeah, I think most of them have.
Yeah. Everybody that told me they were leaving for Eve Echoes is still playing.
Well, that's what's so funny about it.
Yeah,
because they realize that Eve Echoes is not really a mobile game.
No, definitely not.
That and it sucks.
Yeah, that too.
So,
I think we covered that subject then.
Well done, everyone.
Yes, well done.
Moving on.
Yes,
record time.
A year ago, there was all this talk about, hey, this great game's coming out. We're all pissed with SDFC and Scopely. Let's all go play that. And within, 2 months, everyone was like, nope, that's not a mobile game. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kept one foot in it up until recently. And I've just been playing less and less, and now I haven't even logged into the game.
When did we stop playing? Like November?
The game, we started playing around a year ago, towards the end of August. And we stopped playing around mid-November.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made it a few more months.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. Handy. Actually, let's wait 10 minutes till Sid gets here, and we can talk about all that fun jazz.
Until that time, we can talk about the one good exocomp.
Okay, yeah. So the Handy's not so upset. Actually, Handy, this is one that I think you've already used and enjoyed, which is the XP boost.
I have not used it yet.
You've not? Okay, well, I tested out the 4-star 500% experience boost today during when I was using my Stella.
So is it literally 5 times the experience, or does it work out to something different?
Hitting 40 and 39 hostiles for about 40, let's say about 40 minutes because of warp times and me not paying a lot of attention to what I was doing. I got about 10 levels done on my Stella.
Nice. Has anybody actually tested it, though, on a regular ship with regular hostiles? It seems like everybody's using it for the Stella.
I used it for my burrow yesterday.
And did you compare not using it and using it?
It was definitely giving me, I had 100% boost. So it was definitely, I don't know the exact
double?
numbers. Yeah, but it seemed like it was double. I was hitting, I think they were level 39 and 40s in Fed Space. And I was able to level 5 levels in a little under an hour.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's what I did with my Stella with the 100% one. I went from 35 to 40 in an hour. And
Yeah, because I was.
I was using my my disco so that way I wouldn't have the work times. Because you know how it's a few minutes to get into deep enough eclipse space to get to good hostiles. So I was comparing the actual numbers on it, and the 35s with PM Goon give me about 3,400 XP with the boost, and without the boost, it was 2,320. So I
Everybody
was just
knows,
rinsing.
and everybody knows they have to be parked in their base before they activate their exocomp, right?
Yes.
Right.
If they were paying
Oh, we
attention
hope.
last week when we said it to them.
But once it's activated, you have that whole hour.
Yeah.
Right.
So two things here. One, I can't seem to tell M to get up onto the stage. So if somebody could invite him to speak, he's got his hand up. And two,
I sent him an
real
invite. He
quick.
just needs to hit the green button at the top.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, just so everybody has heard this at least one time, what Andy's talking about when he says, have you actually experimented with it? You've got to take your, whatever ship you're leveling to the system that you're going to hit hostiles in and get yourself a raw number. That means no exo comp, whatever your regular XP crew is going to be, whether it's PMC, PMT, or PM Goon, like Drift said, and see what numbers it's actually giving you. And bear in mind that whenever a hostile drops a mega chest, whenever you get loot from that hostile, at least in my observation, your XP is cut roughly in half whenever you get a loot chest dropped. So make sure you're watching for what your base pull in XP is going to be before you apply your exo comps. So take a couple of notes, a couple of screenshots, however is easiest for you, but get yourself a base number so you see what your regular XP crew is giving you. Then return to your base, activate your exo comp, and just because Scopely, put your ship out of your base and back into it, like move to 2 seconds away from your base and go back in just to make sure that that bonus applied when you first re-entered your station, because that seems to be the trigger for a lot of these things. Then send it out and see what kind of XP difference you're getting with the exocomp active, and that will give you a much more accurate barometer of how much that exocomp is really actually assisting you.
Good advice.
Yeah. I got a few things with my jelly, but I was just doing armadas. I don't know how much of a boost it was.
Well, the problem is if you don't establish your baseline and then go back with the exocomp active, and this really applies to any, like you just did a new research and you want to see how good it is, or you just gotta you're going out, you're testing crews and you want to see how effective they are. It's really important to establish a baseline first, because otherwise everything else is really subjective. Like I could say that I put 10 levels on my Stella with it last night, but if we have different levels of pike, if we have different crew combinations we're using, or different things like that, we're hitting different levels of hostiles. That information, while it's impressive, it doesn't really tell the whole story, and players need the whole story to be able to tell how effective something really is. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I've been tricked by a number of things in this game just because I wasn't thorough when I was experimenting.
Yep, true. It could be different for someone else than it was for me, because I was wondering if it was bugged and if I was getting bonuses on top of my bonuses. But I'm not sure of that. I don't think that's the case. I think it's because I'm not getting double of, once I got my number with PM Goon at 2,320 hitting the 35s, I was getting 3,400 with the bonus, and that's not quite double. So I'm
That
not.
sounds like it's
But you're
adding
right.
it on the base there. It's like the exocomp and Goon's bonus and Pike's bonus are all figuring in. They're factoring in parallel. Not necessarily stacking on each other. That's what it sounds like you found there.
Yep. But yeah, I found it pretty impressive. Like, enough that I was burning up all of my shrooms to do it faster. I
Yeah.
like to get a hold of the one that Cook had, because then I really grind some levels and was done with that. But
Well,
that's where
that
I
leads
would
me to my
have
next
a
point. Don't do drugs.
Why not?
That's questionable
Random.
advice.
Guys, it's from the Water Boy. Remember when Bobby Boucher is talking all that stuff, and then
Sorry, I only get references to good movies. I'm sorry.
the Water Boy is a good movie.
That's questionable, Cook. I'm sorry, buddy. I
Hey, it
can't
taught me
agree with you
everything
there.
I know about football.
Oh my
God.
goodness. I
Drugs
don't
are
even
bad
know you
news,
right
guys.
now.
Football here for the next couple of months. Then.
Okay, guys. Okay.
Hey, Sid.
Although for those that do follow football, I'm a Colts fan, and I'm not going to have a whole lot to talk about for the first 8 weeks. So
Go
Preseason.
Browns.
The Browns.
Seriously?
Go
Ah,
That's a joke,
ball.
right?
You may as well be a Jets fan. You're so used to losing.
Not
Don't
this
you
year.
guys, don't you guys do like a
the
parade?
Browns
for
at least
having-
have players worth watching. The Jets are, and I'm pretty sure my high school team could beat them right now.
Well, yes. For the last few years, the Browns are definitely doing way better than the Jets.
And they got my boy JOK, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But we're here for STFC, not NFL.
Well, I have to say that was one great thing that we had in Eve. We had a lot of fun with the football games.
Yeah, we will be doing voice chats while doing ops and Eve and watching football.
We did a fantasy league.
Right, we can still do the fantasy league. That was through the food server. Anyone who wants to do a fantasy league, just for pride, no money, we're happy to do one together.
Play
Just
for
message
packs.
me. What'd you say?
Play for packs.
Yeah, it sucks that you can't give each other stuff in game, because then you could give away like prizes that are like materials or resources like out of your own bank.
You can give people
Prizes.
resources in game.
I
Yeah, you
suppose.
just have to buy a pack.
Just-
Or
you
open
just-
your base up.
Yeah, open your
Yeah,
base up.
let them raid you.
Exactly.
Drop tags for a night.
I
So
know,
you can
actually-
raid me for an hour. Whoever gets the highest amount of whatever, for it.
But that's kind of like a punishment reward, because now they got to raid you, which sucks.
Oh, I know. I made a deal with Killsmo a few months ago when I really needed some tritanium, and he had a lot. And I said, "Hey, let me get some tritanium. Let me get 100 million tritanium off of you, and I'll let you get 1 billion steel off of me." And he's like, "Sure, okay."
That's a good trade.
Yeah, it's a great trade. I say, "Hey, this is a good trade." He's like, "Yeah, it's a great trade." I go and crack him, and I raid him, and in about 5 minutes, I had what I needed. And then I had to ask you, Handy, to crack me so that he could raid me. And after he got about what was it, an hour and a half or so of raiding me, he got about 60 million off of me, and he's like, "I'm tired. I can't keep doing this." I'm like, "Dude, you got like 1 billion to go." He's like, "I'll do it another time."
Did he still have envoys at the time?
That was early.
He had a Horizon.
I did quit. I actually quit raiding for a while after somebody quit and went to Eve. And he had like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 billion steel. We had to raid him for like 12 hours. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing. I didn't raid for months after that.
Was
That was
that Hadrian?
Yep, that was Hadrian.
Yeah, man, I miss that guy.
You know what? Scopely needs to make an exocomp that's like 500% to cargo size or some shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
but
would
then-
be awesome.
Yeah, it would
Can you
be
imagine
awesome
the
for
lead
us
and
as we're raiding.
rated the Shark would get
But-
if they had that exocomp?
Yeah.
But imagine being the victim there of you're gone for 5 minutes and you just lost 5 billion steel in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that
enough.
would stink.
Yep.
The older player.
Well, then the main one I want is rep. I would like a rep boost when I'm grinding.
Oh, please. Yes,
That'd be
absolutely.
nice.
If
That
they could
I
like
heard you.
double or triple that, if they had an exocomp like that, I would spend $100 on it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was.
even if it was
I
like
would change my
50%.
entire opinion of exocoms.
Right.
I was in the car last night heading home, and I heard you say that on DJs.
On DJs.
Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, yes, we need that so bad.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something they could easily add.
How are you on your reputation, by the way?
I'm about halfway through ROM and Fed's maxed out.
What about Klingon?
Just I have no idea. It's super low. Just
Oh,
it's just
like
like
it low?
locked at 10 mil or something.
Yeah.
As it should be. Nobody
Tiger
cares
hates
what the Klingons think.
Yeah. The Klingon Empire can suck it.
That's right.
It's
Alright,
all
so
about
who-
the Romulans.
Not
Who's
that Dogs is listening, but sorry, Dogs, if you hear this, sorry, man. You're like the one.
Hey, I think VR might be upset too because he's going for that Katinga.
Yeah,
mean-
but he's doing it grudgingly. He's only doing it because the rest of us are going Valdor.
I love that Valdor though.
The Klingon ships are pretty good.
Yeah.
They're definitely a very close second behind ROM, and then Fed ships just suck. I mean, I guess the Newton's okay, but and like I'm super pissed that I maxed out Fed first. Like I could already have a Tribune right now, but I went Fed first, and now I'm stuck grinding out fucking Romulan.
Hey, well, maybe
You might
this Enterprise DOB is so good and you'll need that rep. And you'll be glad that you did.
They need to fix that ship though. They keep saying they're gonna do it, and they haven't done it.
They do
You know,
that with
the Newton seems to me like just like the Intrepid. Like if you know you're going for a Tribune, why would you dump the mats and the parts and everything into the Newton if you know you've got a Tribune coming?
Well, you wouldn't. But it depends on how fast of a grinder you are. Like somebody like Inko will just sit there all day and grind. I just can't do that. It makes my eyes bleed. So for me, I mean, it might be a year before I get a Tribune. Like I don't know. I just don't have much time for grinding, which is why I'd live an exocomp for it.
Yeah. No, I know the grind's starting to get to me, and I'm almost at 300,000 for Romulan.
I don't know where
300,000.
Or million, you mean?
Sorry, 300 million. Sorry, yeah.
That's better. That's
Yeah.
better.
That's the bourbon
I mean-
talking.
I think I only have 160 mil, or like something like that. Like my rep's pretty low on ROM. I just haven't spent any time on it at all.
No, it's fine. It's nice to know there's something that I'm actually doing better than you on.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'm not
Well,
less perfect than Lord.
300 mil's pretty respectable.
But there's not
What?
much research on that, is there?
There's
That
no
boots
Oh,
are-
there's tons.
Really.
There's
Well, for
a pretty good pile of research if you do it right. There's a number of different
there's
researches that
Three
increase
different
your,
ones, I believe. There's three
Yeah,
different
but
ones, I
most
believe.
of it is you have to be using like a faction ship. So if you're using a
That's
Jelly,
just
you're
one
not-
of them, I think.
That's only one, yeah. Yeah, the away team's research that they recently did, I don't think that one is faction ship dependent. That one should just be you get X percentage on that faction. The one in what is it, Galaxy is the one that's faction ship dependent. But there should be like three, maybe four of them, and only one of them I think is ship dependent.
All right.
Yeah, and they're quite expensive in the ones in the Galaxy's chat, or the Galaxy tree, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Everything on the Galaxy tree is pretty expensive.
I've got my away team notoriety at 9 out of 10. So it's at 40% bonus right now.
Mine's at 1 out of 10 on across the board.
I mean,
haven't done the
40%
rep
is
in the
a
aware
pretty good
teams.
chunk.
The other ones are pretty high up.
You would have been maxed out already if you'd done that research.
Lazy.
Sorry, I'd been focusing on the officer research. I have rerouting to shields maxed I'm maxing hyperspray technology right now, and then I'll try and max tactical aggression.
Do you get the level 5 for those researches at 40?
Yeah, but the hard part is those merits, those like epic.
Oh yeah,
words.
yeah.
Those I've done 4 of those, and I've only actually gotten the merits one time. Do not
Are they
speed those
just on the
up.
criticals?
Yeah, they're only under critical, and if you speed it up even by 5 minutes, you lose it. Pisses me off.
What?
And the only time I've ever actually gotten it was the one I did not speed up. And this is something that it takes attack focus. So it's a 3-day away team, and I've been putting Gorkon, Kang, and like Khan on it to max the attack and it's over 100%. You know, I'm sacrificing my 3 best attack officers for this. I've done it several times, and I've only gotten the critical once.
Well, I know this isn't on the list for tonight, but I want to point something out that I've noticed in the away teams. There is a point where if you're only focused on the primary attribute for the away teams, there's a diminishing returns plateau where I've actually gotten consistently much better percentages by going, I'm still focusing on, say, attack, but by making sure that I'm adding in officers that are a little bit more balanced instead of just going straight attack score, you can get better percentages by making sure that you're hitting, I want to say the percentage goes up on the secondary attributes like every 1,000 points that goes into it. So if I can squeeze, say, 14K with 5 and 5, instead of getting to 16K with 2 and 2, I get much better percentages that way. So for the away teams, maybe experiment with a little bit more of a balanced crew. I mean, still attack heavy officers, but instead of throwing like Kang and Chang and Krast, who are all like all attack and nothing else, I use a lot of like, I'll throw Krast, Uhura, and I'm drawing a blank, but somebody else who has a little bit more balanced stats. They're not quite as high in attack, but they've got a little bit more health and defense. And I find that when I do that, I actually hit much better reward tiers than if I were to go just strictly attack and nothing else.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, the funny thing about away teams is I noticed that I hit an awful lot of criticals, and I seem to fail an awful lot of like 96% chance away teams too. Like, I don't know
Thank you
what
for saying
people
that,
think
because
that
I don't know
is.
what's wrong with people that are running away teams at less than 100%, but you guys have all played this game for a long time. Do not run your away teams at less than 100%. Just don't do it.
Yeah, you
Just-
always lose,
just
don't you?
It's
I don't
no,
always. I mean,
99%?
I honestly run a lot of them at like 86%, and sometimes I even get a critical.
Wow.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes I just can't get them up that high, even with like all 3 rare officers. Like, and I don't want to send my
I'll
good
be completely
officers out
honest with
there.
you. If I can't get it to 100%, I don't run it. Period.
No, and I get that, but like these are ones that I'm just trying to get something done so I can get a daily done for the day. I don't really care if I win it or lose it. Although I'm the only ones I run are the ones for the Axion keys, speed ups, and any epic I'll run just to get the extra awards. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't care.
I'm really particular.
If you have the speed ups to get your officers back, then it's a little easier to do that with. But I guess I don't have the officers yet.
That's why you want to make sure that you get one done every day so that you can get those speed ups. But honestly, I've only lost one away team assignment in the past month. Knock on wood.
Hey,
Only knocking on wood.
Drift, what do they give you for your daily in terms of speed up awards?
Oh, it's only like, I think 8 hours or something like. Let me look. I used mine today, so I
I know it. here at 39, they give us you get 12 1-hour speed ups. And what I tend to do to make sure that I hit my daily each day is I wait until this is an Eastern time, so adjust for your time zone. But for anybody on Eastern, they roll over at 8 o'clock a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m.
Yep.
And when the 8 o'clock p.m. group comes through, I look and I find either something that has a 4, 8, or 12 hour. And I make sure that I throw that away team. I get it above 100%, and then I throw just enough speed ups at it to make sure that when I get up at 6 a.m. or whatever that I get up, I have a finished away team mission sitting there for me every morning, and that allows me to bank up speed ups so that I can strike when there's like really good epics or really good rares that are sitting there, and it allows me to keep a good rhythm and start banking up those speed ups. Now, full disclosure, I'm really super impatient, so I never have stashed on that one. But I do at least have. I know, perish the thought, right? But I've always got at least enough speed ups there to make sure that I can hit that daily every day. So that if I have, I have my long away missions and stuff like that, but I like the 5 days and stuff like that. I tend not to run those, to be totally honest with you. And for 30 and 39, my research tree is almost max. The only stuff that I haven't done in that tree at this point is the mining defense and the some of the cargo stuff. My officers are done, my hostile bonuses are done, my advantage by ship type stuff is done. I haven't done the rep stuff yet either. That's all sitting at 1 right now. That was kind of my lowest priority, but but hitting a rhythm at that overnight step where all you've got to do is send the officers out, and then by the time you get up in the morning and you're going to do whatever you do in the morning when you first log in, I've got that speed up enough to make sure that I hit my daily every day, and it's been a pretty good rhythm for me.
Or just not clicking that check button too, that shiny green check button until your events turn over too. That's always a good technique. It's a little tough for me.
It can be tough.
Running a 4-hour one. I'll run a 4-hour one just to get my daily if I'm running something longer, and I don't want to necessarily speed it up, or I don't have the speed ups, or
even
it's
if
a little
it's
bit too long. Yeah, I always run the 4-hour, and it's junky rewards, but at least it gets me my daily.
Yeah.
Well, and just like anything else in this game, it adds up. Every little bit counts. So.
Is it so? Kemsel's asking, has it been a year for Eve Echoes?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
Hey Google, when did Eve Echoes come out on Google Play?
On the website
That thing does not answer you.
The release will occur on August 13th, and this was published on the official Eve Echoes Twitter page. Do you want a little more context?
No, thanks.
No.
August 13th, so a year and 3 days. Eve Echoes came out.
Exact.
Remember how we all had it downloaded the early, and we were waiting?
Shut up.
Yeah, and I played it for about 30 minutes and then said, nope.
I didn't even get 30 minutes. I was like 10 minutes into it, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm out. See ya.
I gave it a good 30-minute try.
I gave it a good 3 months.
I ran a corporation and then turned it into an alliance. That I was pretty much running the alliance of like 5 corporations. And Danny and I were playing, doing ops until 4 in the morning, and then I was getting up for work at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's when we were like, I don't think I can keep doing this.
Mm.
And in my defense, I never would have gotten started if it wasn't for Techman. It's all Techman's fault.
Him
and that little dog.
Was dealing with a grouchy player in game that was throwing a temper tantrum about how we didn't tell him anything about anything going on, which is pertaining to exactly what I'm about to say.
It says
we can blame him for 99% of the problems.
You should tell him maybe he should check Discord.
I was just going to say, so what you're really saying is he didn't log into Discord and then started asking questions.
Oh, he looked at it, browsed through, and figured it was just for everybody else. I swear to God, that's his words. And I'm like, somebody else like lost their fucking mind on him, and he just started it up again. So I called him out, and I laid it out. That's why I was a little quiet for a few minutes. And I basically was like, look, there's a method to the madness. All of this shit was posted in Discord. All of this shit was spammed in Alliance chat. You didn't pay attention. That's not our fault. And he's like, I just won't fucking say anything anymore. I'm like, that's not helpful. Quit being a dick. Like, you need to, like, if you're going to continue this avenue, you know where the door is. Don't make us push you out of it. Like,
I'm not even in Dread and I got all the spams.
yeah.
You know,
I
it's
know what
it's
was
so
going on.
interesting, and we talked about this very briefly when Cook was talking about. He asked us earlier tonight what we wanted to talk about tonight here, and one of the first things that came to mind for me was telling people to actually check Discord, or I think the words I used were, "Hey, take a minute to scroll up before you start asking questions that the last 52 players asked."
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. It doesn't matter what server. It's not like limited to one alliance. You can look at the server 34 ROE council, right? And every time I look in that section, it's 3 new faces asking the same questions that have been asked for the last 2.5, 3 weeks. It's like nobody wants to take the time to actually read what came before when they came in. They just come in, they see whatever the last blurb was, and they go, "Holy shit, what the fuck is going on?" And it's like, guys, could you take 5 minutes to scroll up? Because it takes me 3 times that to re-explain all of this to you and give you the context. It'd be a lot easier for us all if everybody would just invest a couple of minutes in reading the history before they got to this point. It'd be great.
Well, when people ask that question now, I just say scroll up.
Yeah,
And then
Yep.
when they have an argument or ask another question, I say scroll up again. It's just like
Yeah, and
now
I'm
do
sure
what
it's
you
the
did a
same
minute
on.
ago, but
it's
go
like
further.
I just can't I can't spend the time on your stupidity, you know.
Yep.
Always
hold
when I
everybody's
come into
hands.
when I come into Alliance chat, I always go and check what's been going on. Not like hours up, but at least a little bit up. And I'm the first one to say I hate notifications. I don't like reading things. I will make Cook watch all the videos and stuff and then tell me what they're about. But yeah, seriously, I do. I just don't like it. But I will go and check, like, at the very least, the important channels you need to be checking.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah,
there's certain channels.
like announcements and stuff.
Yeah, there's certain channels that you can ignore. Like, we have our Fun Hub with Make Me Hungry and the Thirsty channel and like other ones like that, and some of the crew deck channels. You can ignore those if you don't want to read what's going on, but I mean, come on,
See,
pay
it's
attention
be-
to the important things.
it's best to set the server for only at messages, and you're only going to get the important stuff, like the at dead, like the at your name or whatever. And then if you don't like Discord, you don't like all the little fun stuff we're doing, just set the server to be your at messages, and then you're going to get the important stuff.
And we
And then you
even
won't have any questions.
we have the category of top priority right there. Those are the only channels we need you guys to pay attention to for the most part. Everything you need to know is going to be in those channels. And before you ask, look up, because the answer, I guarantee, is there.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, especially Dread's announcement channels. Like, we lay it out in as much detail as we possibly can. And then we post it and then tag everybody or Dread members or whoever it pertains to. So if you still have further questions, that's one thing. But if you're like, what's that for? Dude, please don't. Please. I don't have enough time in my day to answer all the dumb shit.
Yeah. But you know what? If you really need clarification, just ask Cheap for it.
Oh yeah.
Quote from Techman.
Yes, Techman asked me to say that.
Yeah, he likes getting bugged. You know what Crasham does when people complain to him about stuff or ask stupid questions?
Oh,
He
I had
sends-
Crasham complaining to me today.
He sends a question mark in response. And then when they clarify, he sends another question mark.
As somebody who spends
He says 9
like,
times out of 10, they
reasons-
they don't continue the conversation. I
I-
thought that was the
I
funniest
spent
thing.
about I spent 3 months in MRFM, maybe 2 months, before they merged and became MCRN. And Crasham was the most amusing admiral I've ever played under in any game. I
take
swear that
offense.
dude. No. You're funny. You're funny, but he's amusing because that dude, I swear, he just doesn't give a fuck, man. He said
he
to
really
me one
doesn't.
day. He said
I
to
mean,
me
he
one day,
does,
he's
but
like,
he
"Yeah,
doesn't.
I really prefer to let people sort things out on their own without involving me if I ever can." He's like, "I get involved minimally, like only when I'm forced to." Which, I mean, on one hand, I find beautiful. On the other hand, I was like, "Really, man?"
Yeah, Inko's the same way though.
Damn it.
Just he's got me
Uh,
that gets involved in everything. So I guess
Well,
to
he's
say,
got you.
Inco's got you, and Crash has dogs. You know, dogs will
Dogs
jump
doesn't
in
really
things.
get involved in much stuff either, though. I mean, he probably has taken more of a role recently because we've asked them to. Because as an alliance, Nona got really frustrated with MCRM because we would come to him with issues and be like, "Take care of this, please," and then we would never hear back. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's true. None of them really seem to want to step in and be the guy to say something. They
No.
kind of operate with this hope that things will resolve themselves. And
Right. Which to each their own, but it can be very disruptive.
well, I mean, I'll admit, in the time that I was there, it was. I mean, they were a pretty good alliance. You know, I had a lot of fun there, um, but yeah, it was a very different leadership style than what I prefer, I guess I should say.
Sure.
So, speaking of leadership, Andy, Sid, do you guys
What?
want to
Where?
discuss your shared news?
Yeah. Dread has now our sister alliance, and essentially what that means is our goals and whatever we try and do in the game, we're going to support each other and help each other out.
Nona approached us. Handy and Twisted approached us a week ago ish, and we hammered out some details and asked some questions. Had a couple get-togethers, and then Dread talked about it internally, leadership-wise. Had some pretty good conversations. We asked some more. They asked some more questions. I forwarded those questions on, got some more answers, and then when we felt comfortable, we presented it to the general members of Dread and laid out all the information we had and said, "Hey, here's a Q&A page. Ask your questions, rapid fire, whatever. We will answer them to the best of our ability." And that went on. We let that go for probably a solid day, and then nobody had really any major concerns. Some interesting questions that we were able to resolve, but otherwise, we put it to a vote, and we had a majority vote fairly quickly. So we felt comfortable as a leadership that with majority vote that we could accept the proposal from Nona so that we can move on, quickly and not drag this out any longer than it needs to. So yeah, Dread is now Salt Tag, and we are Nona Dread Fleet, Alliance name. So we made some changes, but internally we're going to be the same leadership. I'm still going to be around, so you still have to keep putting up with me. But we're all excited about the opportunity and looking forward to having a pretty good time. And Dread has a very good history of developing positive relations with other alliances when we work closely together. So we're hoping the trend continues.
I think you guys
Congratulations,
missed
guys.
I think you guys missed a big opportunity here. I said this to Inco maybe a year and a half ago that Nona should start a sister alliance or a feeder alliance or something and call them Lona, low sodium.
Oh God, don't get me started on that again.
I really feel like you guys missed the train on that one.
Oh, we suggested Lona, and
Candy really wanted Lona.
I thought it was great, but
I said it was-
Lona and Salt were the top two, and Salt beat out Lona, so we had to go with popular vote.
That's
Hey,
pretty
hey,
awesome.
Sometimes the popular vote is wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
This
know
is
what?
not
though?
a democracy, y'all.
It's fine because as Dead is brother alliances with Dread, we decided to change our name to Pepper today.
That's
And by
an
we, I
interesting
mean
use of the
me.
word.
Yeah, I said me. I said me.
we actually suggested maybe doing Pepper for Dread.
So we are Salt and Pepper. Bring on the 90s.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
no, on
I think
somebody
it's fun.
definitely
I think
should have
it's
had
fun.
that song.
Yeah.
On the subject of name changes, Cook and I were talking about a new name for the show.
I like Fireside.
All right.
I
like
Can
like
we take a couple of minutes and talk about how everybody in my alliance wants to steal my handle?
everybody in your alliance. What?
I'm looking at you, Cook.
Yeah, please do. It's been giving me a headache all day.
Everybody and their mother wants to take the lurking portion of my title and decide that they want to go ahead and bend it to their own purposes. So
Okay.
I just want to know why are there so many style thieves in this alliance? What's going on?
So for the record, first of all, because of you, I feel inclined to change my name frequently. It's all your fault. Secondly, I was literally lurking on Alliance chat all day yesterday, leaving my phone open while I was cooking. And so I just felt it was very fitting yesterday to change my name to Lurking Cookie.
Now, I can appreciate the second point there, but the first one, I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit because before you and I had ever really even interacted and I was still in 13, I watched you change your name all the damn time.
Hey, you're
See,
like
I
Chef,
He's got you
dude.
there, baby.
You change your name every 5 seconds.
I don't mind name changes as long as they have your name in it. Like you have,
Hey,
Cook's
I am
father
very good.
or whatever, so we know
I'm
who
very good
you are.
about keeping Cook in my name.
I
And it's not easy.
actually told Chef that if he can't change his name to something that I can't understand who it is. So that's why his name always has Chef in it now, because he used to change it to whatever.
Yeah.
But I made him change it so it has to have Chef in it.
We had a blast when we were in the solo alliance
Oh my
with
God,
the
that was
names.
such fun.
No.
Do you remember
So-
that day that we changed the name to Meow and we
Yeah.
had
Oh
somebody
my
actually
goodness.
quit the alliance over?
Yes.
Slap him, quit the alliance, and join Tank because we changed the name of the alliance to Meow.
That's
I don't even
hilarious.
remember why we did that.
We did it
Wasn't
because
when the cat
No, you
Abby
brought-
came out?
you brought Cub into the alliance. Well, Kaylee brought Cub into the alliance, and to celebrate you and having your litter in the alliance, Cub is Tiger's son.
For those that don't know the background, Salad Cub is my oldest kid, and it was total happenstance because he had just joined the game, and I had told him, I said, play the game long enough to hit like level 20, level 24, and I'll sort you out. I'll get you into the alliance. Well, he was like level 16, and Kaylee Winchester, one of our Commodores, came across him in a general chat and invited him to the alliance. Found out he was 14. And he was in there for a little bit before anybody realized that was actually my kid in real life. And Kaylee, for her part, was mortified when she found this out. But
That's hilarious.
it was a serendipity thing, man. You can't make this shit up. It was amazing. Like he comes home from school one day and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm in your alliance." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I said, "You're not 24 yet. What are you doing?"
They'll just let anybody in, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. We're just picking up strays and shit, man.
So to celebrate a bunch of cats, and also remember we had
we had
that other cat name from
Calcio.
Spot. Yeah, Spot.
I think that player is with Die right now. DY is with Red Eye.
Yeah,
Spot.
he never even said he left, but whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that person came to us on exchange too, right? They were somebody that came in for
From
IPX,
IM.
and
and
he
then
just
decided they
stayed.
wanted to stay because they liked me for some reason. I don't
No,
know why people do that.
he came from IMM while they were at war with MBD.
Oh, that's right. He was a refugee.
Yeah, he was a refugee because he couldn't stand all of Chemsol's shenanigans.
Not that Chemsol was the audience or anything. This is almost as awkward as when Mist called out Trojan earlier today. No, it's in one of the. I don't remember if it was in Dominion Command Chat or if it was in.
Chat.
Is it Mission Chat? Okay, yeah. Mistaken from Phoenix made a comment about how who was it? Solid wasn't. Somebody wasn't. KJ. KJ wasn't one to go rogue like. And then he listed like 5 or 6 players or something like that. And one of them was Trojan Magnum. And then Trojan Magnum went into Mission Chat and was like, "What?"
keep my name off your lips.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying Trojan doesn't have something of a sordid history in his earlier days, but
he said,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think I've
So anyway,
seen.
moral of the story, y'all get off my handle.
He didn't say anything after that.
I got off of it. I just changed my name.
Yeah, nobody said shit. I was really disappointed. Like, I don't throw popcorn memes very often, but it was a tempting moment. I thought something was about to pop off. I like both of those guys.
That would have been great.
It would have been intriguing for sure.
Trojan's under strict orders to lay low for obvious reasons.
Trojan did me a solid the other day. It was really nice of him too.
What's that? Did he blow up solid for you?
No pun intended. No, he was actually clearing heavies in Soul System so I could grind on the regulars.
Nice.
For like 3 hours.
Wow.
Now I do want to bring something up here though while we're talking about some of these characters. We've talked about mental health on this show. We've talked about mental health on this show and kind of keeping the game a game at different points. And because of everything that went on with Solid in the last couple of days, me and Solid and a number of us here at Dead who came from 13, Solid was in 13 for a solid period of time.
Hey, how is he, by the way? I heard he was threatening to commit suicide, and then nobody heard from him. Has anybody heard from him?
Darius talked to him for a long time that night. Darius and I were both working really hard to try and get a hold of him, and I guess Darius was successful. And it was a heavy enough conversation that Darius himself was kind of having a bit of a time. So, he and I talked about a bit, but
okay.
I don't know for sure if Solid is okay at this moment. I don't know if there has been any return contact since that night, but I do know, Solid and I got kind of close in our time at 13. We kind of competed against each other, and he was somebody that pushed me really hard when he was doing well. And I want to kind of shine a light on, the aftermath of things like that. sometimes when people get in really low spots or they're going through a tough time or whatever, it's really easy for us in this game to get frustrated because a miner got blown up or because a base got raided or something like that. I mean, we've all seen this a million times at this point, but I just want to point out that at the end of the day, everybody behind the handle is an actual real person who has struggles and who is challenged by whatever they're challenged by in their life. And I just wanted to make a point to say that let's not be too quick to write people off or judge people because there's some demons you can't really help. There's some things that you can't really control, and there's players like Solid out there who, when they're right, they're really good people. My experience with Solid has almost always been positive. He does have some. I don't want to get too personal here, but he does have some definite challenges in his life. But when he's on point, when he's got his things in line, he's a really great, decent guy. And I want to say to anybody who listens to this now or in the future, when somebody's going and pulling dick moves, hitting some miners, pulling some bases, doing whatever these guys do, don't be too quick to get really nasty with them. Because it could just be somebody going through a tough time or somebody who's trying to, to slough off some negativity, through a mobile app. And they're not trying to necessarily be personal about it. So
Right.
At the end of the day, we're all still people. We're all human beings. And, as
It's
much as we
just
all
a
like to
game.
act like things don't matter, or act like things don't bother us, it's still just a game, like Danny said there. Let's treat it accordingly. Because like I said, there's still people behind these apps. There's still people behind these names, and we may have one persona in the game, and whatever our reputation is what it is. But we're all still humans with a life. Man. Let's not lose sight of that, because even the biggest assholes on this server are still people.
Yeah,
Chef has a place in Nona. Darth Velius has a place in Rasu. And Salah's bounced around between a number of different alliances. He's been everywhere at this point. So let's just not forget we're people.
Well said.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I like that. I really like that point.
Whenever I see somebody in the game doing something that's out of the norm, usually my first reaction is, "Hey, man, what's going on? You all right?" Because 9 times out of 10, if somebody's being honest with me, they'll tell me, "No, man, I'm just going through a tough time, or this happened or that happened," and very rarely is it something game related. It's usually something in their real life. So that's why, internally in our alliance, whenever somebody's doing something out of the norm, like all of a sudden they're not doing events, or all of a sudden they're, whatever, they're being more aggressive than they normally are, just anything out of the norm, it's usually something in real life that's causing them to act differently. So
What's Twisted's excuse?
Twisted's just always an asshole. No, Twisted's an amazing dude. He's awesome. But
I just had to make a joke there.
But he definitely doesn't take any crap from anybody, and he gets extremely defensive and
Basically, he's the best
hostile.
you could ever want.
Yeah, he's the guy
great
you want on your
example.
team. Definitely not on the opposite.
Definitely the guy you want on your team.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great example of how your personal interactions color your perspective, because that dude has always been cool as hell to me. Like I see where other people have a problem with him, but he's never been anything but nice with me. And he could kick my ass 95% of that time, so it's not like it was
He gives what he
nice.
receives.
He will be nice completely to you unless you do him wrong. My first interaction with him, I did him wrong. It took a year, but we got through that. By the way,
we're
I can't
fighting
join
constantly. That was awesome.
You're an asshole. That's fine, and I can say that because I am too.
Yeah. By the way, Handy, I can't join the Nona server unless I've been removed from that ban that Twisted put on me.
What? What ban?
Twisted banned me from the Nona server.
That's awesome.
Multiple times, wasn't it?
Oh no, he kicked me from the server multiple times, but I kept getting back on through a link that I had. but then he banned me from it. I haven't tried since he banned me.
So,
That's awesome.
inquiring minds want to know: did you deserve it multiple times?
Well, I did go
He
into the
did.
note server to troll him a few times, just because he kept kicking me.
They've had a very colorful relationship
It's funny.
that's turned into a friendship.
Yeah. He actually, it was funny too. He called me up when I was in the polling station to threaten me about the whole Zap thing when I went to go vote last year.
Oh, that's funny.
And then I'm like, dude, I'm in a voting booth. Why are you calling me? He's like, get Zap under control. I'm like, he's not in my alliance, and you know there's no controlling him. He's like, yeah, well, we're gonna hunt dead unless you control him.
I don't know why he says shit like that. That's why I tell Twisted is not allowed to speak to people. He knows this.
And then
He's not allowed to communicate outside the alliance anymore.
Yeah.
He's fired. He's so fired.
So then I tell him, dude, I'll talk to you later. I have to go finish voting. He's like, vote to make sure America's great. I'm like, you bastard. I'll vote however I want to vote. Kiss my ass.
Oh, so did you make Cook? Did you make an announcement on Discord about the TC agreement that went through?
I made an announcement, but I didn't exactly make a. Yeah, I just told him don't hit anyone in TC.
But do you think anybody read it? Everyone read it. I should say not anyone, but did everyone read it? Probably not.
I can't help if people don't read things. Remember, reading is fundamental.
So yeah, so I guess we can just say it here that nobody in TC gets hit for ISO that we can mine.
Yes, we
we can mine.
And even if you don't have access, you should ask people. Just be respectful about it, and trust me, you'll get a lot further. Like if you just be nice about it and ask people, they'll just let you come in and take what you need. But there's two ways of dealing with stuff. There's the hostile way, and then there's the friendly way. Pick the friendly way. You'll make more friends.
Yeah. As soon as we got our second territory the other day, I was giving away on Friday, I guess it was. I was giving away ISO 3 to someone in EQ. I think I gave him like 2 million ISO 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'll get him through for a few days.
Wow.
It's like hardly worth it. I mined a whole bunch of it as soon as we got it.
Well, it's only 25% of what you can actually get a day.
It's not much.
It's
like
not that important.
You get the refine, and it's like, what? That's all that mining for like this little tiny bit of emulsion. It's not really worth it. It's not worth like worrying about. I mean, if you have it, sure. But yeah, I'd rather do like the 4 chest pulls of the ISO 1 and just mine more of that, because you're going to get more return from it.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the moment, we don't have ISO 1.
But anyway, do you want to? We can move on to armadas, the ever-ending subject.
Before we get on to armadas, let's talk about the Icarus factor and helping your alliance out. Last week we discussed the Icarus factor and how a lot of alliances did not complete all their milestones, partly because the building day was too hard for many people to deal with, to complete. Let me check and say. We are back to another Icarus factor. This is actually going to be a 4-day event. Today started off with a Eclipse and Eclipse Armada event. Tomorrow is going to be a research SMS event. By the time you're listening to this, if you're not listening to it right now live, it'll be Wednesday, which will be a Borg probe SMS, and SLB, which I'm not sure what they're going to do for the people that are 25 and below who haven't unlocked the Vidar. That's going to be a tough one for them to complete. The Swarms
I'm
one
sure
was
they'll do
easy.
something.
Yeah, maybe they'll do Swarms again. They haven't said. But, and then because of all the complaints last week of having that fourth day with no event, God forbid, they did a fourth SMS, which is a mystery SMS. We do not know what it is unless they mentioned it last night on DJ's podcast, and I did not hear that part. But at the moment, it's a mystery SMS, and it'll be on Thursday. And on Thursday, I believe, let me double check the calendar here. That is the. Sorry,
The
give me one
surprise
second.
event, it is Thursday.
Yep. So I don't know if I
Thursday's
missed.
going to be another Face the Enemy, another Armada Hunt, and ticketed events. So you're going to have Face the Enemy, Armada Hunt, ticketed events, plus a fourth day of Icarus that we don't know what it is yet. So because of people's complaining, we're going to have 4 events plus the BP event that we don't know. So yay, fun time. Thanks for complaining, people. Hopefully
So
we
if
can
we
actually finish this this time.
and get that Worf avatar, which is better than the officer,
Yeah.
because we all want that.
Is it though? I mean, I'm asking handedly. Has anyone actually tried out Worf? Is he better? Does he work well? What's the deal?
Good question.
Personally, I think we might be surprised a bit, only because Beverly, being a rare officer as well, is surprisingly good. In fact, some would argue that she is the best of the new officers.
Well, I can tell you right now that his his captain ability or captain maneuver,
It's trash.
yeah. So he's only good on the side,
Yeah.
and the mitigation. I mean, non-player targets, so now you can't use it for PvP stuff, which I think is kind of lame. 20% mitigation. I mean,
So it's
I
going to
don't
take
know.
quite a few promotions before you're going to see anything from him.
True.
Is my guess.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I was kind of looking at it today, saying, honestly, Picard and Beverly should have been the 2 epic cards. All the others could have been rares because they're pretty much kind of inside cohesive with each other. And then you make Wesley and say Barkley uncommons, and you actually would have balanced this out versus it being 3 rares and how many epics, and then no uncommons. I mean, that was the other thing that's kind of ridiculous.
It makes it kind of tough to get them because of the amount of shards you need and the rarity of the drops and everything.
Especially if you look at the store that they're running right now, the TNG Recruit store, and that thing only gives you what, 3, 4
Three.
shards.
You get 3
2
shards and two speed ups for the away teams.
Yeah, that's
And
totally.
then the minor ones, they only give you 2.
And if I was spending money on this arc, I would not put money onto buying those TNG tokens for that because that's bullshit.
Especially if you don't look ahead of time and you go and buy a pack and then you go to do the polls and it's kind of like, I mean, getting those speed ups is kind of nice, but yeah, it's kind of a shit stick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They need to do something with officers because it's freaking ridiculous.
It is, and it's way too many epics.
Not only that, I mean, just for the first level, like 200 180. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, really?
It's stupid.
I was looking
Like
at
how many $100 packs is that? And then it's just a chance too. It's a
They
50
just,
50
Well-
chance.
Scopely really loves officers, apparently, and they're just extremely valuable to Scopely. So,
yeah, I mean they have a Riker Unlocked pack right now, and it's $400. $100 for 25 shards.
My God.
Is a introduction to an officer worth $400?
of course not.
No, absolutely not.
Apparently, it must be to somebody because
Now,
they keep coming out with new ones.
now here's a question for you, and this is mainly for Handy, who probably would, spend the money. But if it was $400 to max Riker,
Oh, yeah, I'd do it. Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
that
But
there was certain packs that
that's
worth
a
it was a
ton of shards that you would need to max out an officer. I mean, that would be a really good deal. But
yeah. But I mean, the big problem
as
with
it is
all
right
those-
now, you would have to spend what, $5,000 to max him or something.
and they'd only give you a max of 4 chests to unlock him too. They wouldn't even let you buy enough to unlock
No,
him,
of
even
course
though it
not.
would be $5,000. The best chance you would have of maxing an officer would be if you literally came in number one, or sorry, the closest you would be able to do would be to come in number one in all of the auctions that they would be doing, plus buy the $400 pack. And again, you're talking like easily $5,000 with the amount that you'd have to spend just to be number one in so many of those.
I have Riker, but I haven't used him yet.
I use them a lot.
I use them a lot too.
I would think he would probably be pretty useful, but yeah, I don't know.
He's been my
I-
go-to for my second Armada crew.
Yeah,
What do you pair him with?
I do.
I have
Go ahead.
Like Crusher or something, or
Picard, and I'm doing Picard in 6 right now, though my 6 isn't that great.
okay.
I'm doing Riker, Bev, and 6 usually on my jelly for doing regular armadas.
Have you guys
Sometimes-
done testing with it and compared it to some of the OG crews?
Thing is, I've done some testing. He's not getting the. I'm not gonna last as long because I don't have much. I just have Beverly there to protect my ship.
Well, you're just
versus
looking
using
at
one-
comparing your experience, right? So it doesn't,
Yeah.
like you would want to use a different crew, like a main staple crew, like with officers you have max out or something,
Well,
and then
thing is,
compare that. Look at the battle log and compare that for you.
Usually, the reason I'm using that setup on my jelly is because I'll be using like my Stella with 5 Kirk Spock. Occasionally I'll put Khan on there, but I think 6 is better than Khan for doing these armadas.
Now, five Kirk Spock, it really doesn't give you a whole lot of damage. It just makes your ship survive.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
just basically turning it into a tank, which is great and all, but
No, and I know that.
I guess it depends on the armadas you're hitting, but it can hurt. It can hurt the armada as a whole if too many people are running that. You just get a whole bunch of ships that are just surviving the battle and not killing it.
Well, occasionally I'll go and switch it up to do like Kirk, Spock, and Chang to do some hull
And,
breaching.
I also thought that rewards from armadas were based on how much damage you're doing, but DJ said last night that it's not, that it's actually a pretty simple math equation based on the power of your ship compared to everybody else's.
I do think that it's a combination of if you go in there with the most powerful ship, you're definitely going to get the most. But at the same time, you are putting in the most damage as well. In
No,
terms
no, no,
of,
no, no,
I
no.
don't.
Hold
I
up,
don't
hold
think
up,
it's
hold up, hold
damage
up.
based. DJ quite flat out said last night, and he's the official. You know, I would think he would have the actual inside information, the correct information. He said that he literally said that it's not damage related.
It's
I always thought it
from
was
what I've
damage
seen in
related.
battle reports, it really is about how much power you're showing in the armada. Because I've experimented quietly with DPS crews, sustainment crews. I
So if your ship is
I
similar
get
power in
basically
both
the
armadas, you get the same.
roughly yes, as best as I can tell. It's
Well,
all about shown power,
then it's
which
not
is
damage related, like I thought.
not at all. Not at all. Because when I run DPS crews, they don't give me any better return than what I get if I run 5KS or if I run some other mitigation based crew. Um, it's my power relative to the total power of the armada. The
And
armada team.
probably also based on how long you last, right? I mean, even if you win the
No,
armada,
it's early in my testing on that. I've only run a couple where I've been focused on, okay, what round did I die versus what did I get?
yeah, I'm
But
curious if it takes
I really
rewards
don't
away
think
if
that
you die
factors
early.
into it. I think that the early death is it's
Inconsequential.
minimal impact.
Okay. I mean, that would make sense.
Because when somebody's running like PMG, right?
Mhm.
Pike Moreau Gala, they're taking the hit for the team and cutting the crits.
Right.
They don't seem to get any different amount of loot from the players that I've questioned versus what they would get if they ran either a live as long as I can crew or if they were just running whatever their normal best available was.
Right.
They still get a shitty cut if they're a small ship doing it, but it doesn't seem to move the needle if they move off of that, hey, I'm going to do no damage and die in round 3 crew versus the crews they can run that will let them last until like 9, 10, 11.
That's interesting.
Honestly, from my perspective, it's frustrating because I was in the same thought process as you were. I thought it was, DPS based there for a while. I thought that it was, a direct damage to hull comparison. I thought a lot of different things and was wrong multiple times as I delved into it. And I mean, I'm sure that I'm certain I don't have access to the same level of information that somebody like DJs would have, but um, everything that I've seen and tried to do on my own absolutely tells me that, yeah, he's 100% correct. It's got to be just shown power. Whatever power you can stack, as long as you can still kill it, is really the best way to maximize the reward.
Well, then people need to really focus on bringing the right crew. Because I used to not get too upset as long as we won when people brought crap ass crews, but now I just see it as, look, I'm putting my really expensive ship in there and I'm taking more damage because of your shit crew. You know what I mean? And it's pretty messed up. So crew your freaking ships right, people.
definitely.
Hexa's only
I would
power of the
say
ship
that
matters in armadas. It's power that gets you into the armadas, and it's power that determines your awards. And don't use
there's a really
PMC.
That's
Hi,
okay.
Cole.
there's a really fine line with armadas where you can play with your crew and try to maximize what your benefit's going to be. But until you hit the right side of that line, you really should play it cautious and, in my opinion, go oftentimes with sustainable crews that will stretch out your duration for the Armada fight. Because at the end of the day, a couple of more percentage points on how much damage you can do or how much penetration you get is not worth an extra round of fire. So
And
you really want to focus on, even though there may be a better crew that's possible. I still think that the way we all thought back in the day, make sure the Armada wins, but don't take unnecessary risk. Don't sacrifice necessarily your power share to make absolutely certain you're doing everything you can to ensure you live long enough as possible. Take a little bit of time and balance it, because it's a different balance for every single player.
I would say it's more important to get the thing dead than to just survive through it. I mean, I get it for people that literally can't afford to repair their ships. I could totally understand why they would probably want to run, Spock, Kirk, 5 or whatever. But, I mean, if you can afford it and take some hits for the team, then do it,
Yeah, I know. So if I bring my burning crew, my auger, and then somebody with the same power auger brings 5KS, like they'll take very little damage and I'll die. Like, but at least we got our burning shots off, and then I'll be surprised that the loot that came back was pretty decent. I figured that since I blew up, I'd get nothing. But then I would notice that the loot seemed to be the same as if, I ran a survival crew. But now if we all ran survival crews and nobody's obliterator went off in their augers, then, that's a problem too. It's a matter of planning out ahead of time, because, like a lot of times we'll plan out. I say, "Do you got GG on your auger?" And you're like, "Yeah, I always do." Okay, so I'll bring, so I don't have to worry about burning. I can survive through the crew, or I can bring, 5, 6 and DCS or something like that to apply more damage.
It comes to understanding, and this is something that we and Dead haven't really followed up on yet, but Handy brought up in an earlier podcast here, earlier Fireside, making sure that everybody has kind of assigned roles, or at least knowing what you can expect from, other people around you. Most of us, I'd say myself, Cook, VR, and Yard definitely, and then there's a number of you guys in the 35 to 37 range, Striker, Doc, Drift, there's tons of guys at different layers that all make sure that they're doing the right thing. And like Drift said, as long as you just pop something up in chat and say, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Who's got burning?" It's all there, and you can make sure you have sustainability crews and such, man. It
like you just set one person to run a burning with penetration or something.
Yeah, it's usually
or a hull breach. Sorry, hull breach.
Usually the higher powered augers can run the burning crews because they're more likely can survive on their own, as opposed to somebody's tier 4, tier 5 auger.
Says to use PMG and a hull breach and make sure we're coordinating our crews.
Yeah, I know I was supposed to go and list a whole bunch of teams to do, but I just hadn't gotten to it.
Yeah. PMG is my go-to for the bigger armadas because I'm the smallest one normally, obviously, at 32. So PMG gives me a chance to get in some of these bigger armadas, yet not just be a hanger-on. I'm actually there helping for something. And I free up crews for the bigger guys to use other crews that's going to do more damage.
Yeah, something I have been seeing more activity too is in our 25 to 29 range players are starting to do some work getting together and running armadas together, which is really nice to see.
Coma, did you want to say something on crews?
Hello.
Hi.
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, nothing. I don't really have anything to contribute, so I was just listening.
I saw you talking about Cruz, so I figured you'd want to be part of the conversation.
Oh no, Handy was. I think it was Handy. Was talking about crap ass cruise, and I
Yeah.
I
I
thought
thought
it
it was
was
funny.
crap ass cruise. It's not funny, but anyway.
No, it's good. No, it's good. At least 50% of this room loves dad joke humor. It's fine.
Yes.
He does.
You can borrow a few. Dad jokes and a propensity thereof, however the fuck that's poetically stated, are a sign of wisdom and honesty, Danny. And they should always be appreciated deeply.
Funny.
Like,
I will
no.
give them that. They are funny.
I had to unmute for that. I'm laughing my butt off over here.
It was like a missed high five. That was awesome.
Actually laughing. So, what's next?
Getting close to wrapping up.
Yeah, we are down to talking about the time management.
Yes. Time management on this game is always tough.
Before
I
we
know.
do that, can I just make a point where we were talking about the Icarus factor? I think we forgot to mention. We want to make sure that with these kind of events, we're setting everybody up to succeed. So especially in like, say, the Armada events, if you've cleared your event, let some of the other players in. Make sure you're there to support, but let the other players make sure they're getting their events done, because that's going to help all of us. And then if you're trying for a leaderboard or something like that later on, you can get in, but don't do it at the expense that you're getting greedy with them. And you're going to take out every single Armada you're going to call for just to make sure that you're in it so you can get the tokens, you can get the leaderboard. Whereas maybe some of the little players are suffering because they can't compete.
So we use the on my way, shorthand or the X or whatever to call out for an Armada. And Emily said something in AC earlier about instead of typing out support or saying on my way, if you're just coming to support, just type an S. To piggyback on what you're saying there, Danny, why don't we just go SLB? That lets me know first letter support, so it sticks within what we've been doing so far. And then LB lets me know as an Armada leader that you're chasing leaderboard. You don't need milestone. And in the case of players that still need points, why don't we go SMS? So they know that instead of just a random call out, hey, I'm paying attention, I'm chasing my event, I'm trying to hit my milestones, I'm support, but I'm milestone. That gives us something universal that every one of us can use. And nobody has to go into the multi-line chat stuff that slows everything down and confuses the callouts in the first place.
That's a good point. We could try that.
I like that idea. I actually just used it.
And we got to make sure that we're also letting the Armada leaders know whose Armada we're calling out for, because during these events, it gets kind of crazy. And we don't want to spread ourselves too thin where somebody's got like 10 people and the other person has one.
Yes, please.
Pay attention, be willing to be flexible. We're all there to help each other.
Exactamundo.
Well, I wish I could compete in leaderboards. Be awesome.
That that was my little add-on rant. But y'all were heading towards time management. I just wanted to make sure we got that in.
No, that's great. Actually, I like that SLB SMS thing. That's a great idea. I don't know what you other admirals think of that idea.
Thank you, Danny. I was DC'd for a while, and I think I missed all the Icarus stuff. So thank you for bringing that up while I was still on here.
Yeah, for the people that weren't here, by the way, we were talking earlier about the experience bonus with the exocomp. Just to recap a little bit, that seems to be the best of the exocomps that we've figured out so far. Still waiting on the faction booster one for Handy.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. Wish in one hand, right?
Yeah, if wishes were horses, right?
Well, that's funny enough. We're at 90 minutes, so.
Oh, is that what you're talking about with time management?
That's my point in time management. But I
Wasn't
just
mine.
wrote that down because somebody wanted to talk about something to do with various mining events.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Tiger, do you want to start with this one? Okay, I guess I'll start with it.
Mining events?
Yeah.
Mining events?
Well, mining in general, time management, how to get everything done that needs to be done.
Sorry. It's, I don't know. For me, I've always played by a really specific pattern, and I've had a play-in since I was like level 20 or something like that, and I don't expect everybody to do that. But what I found is that I just played to the rhythm that I could invest in the game. If I could play for 2 or 3 hours a day, here's what I can do to make sure that all of my docs are working for me as best they can. Doesn't mean that I necessarily maximize what that doc is doing, i.e., do I have the very best combination of miners on my 2 docs that are mining right now? No. Do I have the best combination of protected cargo that I can use to make sure that I can ignore those miners for as long as possible and still get what I need them to do done? Yeah. So it's a different spot for every person that plays the game and every different amount of time and money that you want to invest in this. But I always try to tell people, like, figure out what works for your real life schedule, map out what time that is that you want to invest in the game, and stick to it. And then if what you can do is play for 2 hours a day, like reasonably, then map your play style around that so that all of your docs are working to make sure that every one of your dailies are clear. You're able to compete in events at least enough to score. You don't have to try and rock top 5 all the time, because believe me, as you progress through the game, you just don't get to. So don't worry about trying to hit 1, 2, 3 and getting discouraged because you can't. See what you can do to get inside the scoring. See what you can do to make sure you clear all your milestones, everything that comes up, as much as you can with whatever time you've got. If you can't hit all of those markers, and I understand, man, there's like so much content added every month that shit. But just see if you can find the important stuff and knock out what is best for you at that point in your game. But do everything you can to make sure that all your docs are working towards your dailies as early as possible in the time that you pick up the app. That's your best way to make sure that you can actually catch up and progress and hit the milestones you want to hit. Just try to find whatever your personal, this is how I got to do it is, and don't have those idle docs and wasted time and shit like that, because there's too much to do that you need to do.
And if you don't know how to do that, just ask for help.
Yep.
Exactly.
Take an example. Nobody has to do it this way, but like when I start my dailies, I'll send a ship out to each kind of material I need. and I start mining them all at the same time. And then I'll use my fourth dock. Like if it's Swarm Sunday, I like to double up Swarm Sunday with running my Swarm dailies, just because it's good time management. And I do that while I'm have all the rest of the 3 docks mining. Now, not everyone's got 4 docks or 5 or 6 docks like Handy does, but so just like Tiger's saying, just maximize what you got, and that's just how I do it. I've got all 3 mining at the same time, and then
I do
I'll
all
just
my mining at night.
yeah, that's a good plan too. There's more nodes available.
Hmm. I don't have to worry about it. I stick it on a node that will complete my daily. My ship's blown up in the morning, but who cares? It's done. It's 3 less or 6 less events that I have to do.
And if you're doing your dailies every day, you've accrued enough speed ups easily without even thinking about it, that the loss of that miner when somebody hits it on 0 is nothing. Nothing. Yeah. I am piss poor as a 39 in repair speed ups, and I have about 4K in 30 minutes. Okay.
I have
like
15K 30 minutes.
I have like the lowest 30-minute repair speed ups of anybody over 35 in this alliance, I think.
Why? How many do you have?
I have like 37K right now, and that's because I have like deliberately avoided PvP for at least a month.
Yeah, I did the same to get myself up to 5,000 because I was down to 0.
Yeah.
Too many battles. I was losing to Omen.
Talking shit 4 or 5 months ago about how we'd never run out, and then I was like, I hit 0, and I didn't want to say anything.
So when I was complaining about how I was at 0 and using like 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute speed ups just to barely get by, or having to use Latinum to get by.
Now, see, because I was foolish and went single faction in my 20s. I was running out speed ups all the time. Like that's why you really want to have dual faction when you're coming up in your 20s. Because I struggled.
Get triple locked as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you start getting into your 30s, you really got to just focus on that triple lock.
And then you could just like David just talking about, you're gonna have tens of thousands of speed ups at that point.
I locked double, I think 28, and then I jumped to 29, and I locked triple in like 3 weeks, I think. Was it 3 weeks, babe? Do you remember?
I think it was like 3 weeks. You were doing really
fast.
Fast.
Yeah, because I was, before I hit 30,
I was pushing.
I was triple. Yeah.
You know what a lot of people do too, which is actually extremely smart. You can either, here's how you should do it. When you're a lower level, when you're doing the missions, and if you know you're only working on 1 faction or 2 factions, only do the missions for those factions and archive. So if you're not doing Klingon, archive all the Klingons.
Yep.
And literally, if you do all your missions, it'll take you, it'll take you most of the way there.
Yeah, it almost gave to the positive. And
yeah,
you get in like a day. When I did,
it took me right up until I had ships that I couldn't beat them, and I was double teaming some of them just to get it done.
Yeah, I went from what, -2 million to +2 million in like 3 days with the Romulans, or 2 days.
But I've seen people, and then when you finally get it locked, and you're working on your, you're working on above your 10 million rep, do the same thing with missions. Just don't do the missions. All the important ones, like, where you have to do this and that to unlock deep space or whatever, all those are independent missions. They're not faction missions. So you can pretty much just put all your faction missions aside and wait for till when you're working on that rep. Because when you're triple locked at 10 mil, I mean, it can't go any lower than that. So you might as well save your missions for when you actually want to boost that rep up. Don't do them before for the resources or whatever. It's not about the resources, it's about the rep they give you. That's what the missions are for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice how that boosts you up so fast.
I
Yeah.
finally finished that mine 250,000 dilithium mission yesterday.
I still haven't done any of those, and I never
Well,
will.
we just got that dilithium system yesterday, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll go and sit a couple miners on there and do a few rounds. Finished it up.
Yeah, I don't think I've done any
Did
of
you
those.
get your 100 Fed credits or whatever?
Actually, it gave me 1 million parts steel. Apparently, it was a neutral mission that I just didn't even pay attention. I just knew I had it.
Oh yeah, pound for pound worth it. Worth every hour you spent.
Hey, an active dock is a productive dock.
Now
Exactly.
they have like million nodes of like million dilithium nodes or something. You know, you
Some
could sit one
ones
on there
up
for a couple
higher
weeks.
higher up.
Just
Handy
increase
would
your
know
warp.
that.
You'll find them out there somewhere.
Hey, do you guys leave your disco on a dock all the time?
Most of the
Yes.
time, but not lately.
Yeah, I
Sometimes.
At 5
pretty
docks.
much leave my Discovery on one of the docks at all times.
Dock B is normally, when there's not an Armada event going on, Dock B is for my disco. When there's an Armada event going on, I use that spot so that I can have 2 ships going for Armadas. Yesterday, I had 3 ships going for Armadas. That was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, I was
It's
running
pretty
3
funny.
today.
I use dock 3 for my disco as well. It almost never moves from that spot.
See, I
That's
do.
either disco
Left side
or my
warships,
minor.
right side miners.
Yeah, my right slot is definitely the miners, D and E, and then C is a random one of it'll swap between secondary hostile or Armada, PvP, whatever. Primary Doc A is my primary hostile hunter or PvP, whatever I need for an event. And then B tends to be the disco, unless there's an Armada event going on.
See, I'm A and D is my main warships. And then my miners are in the middle. B and C. My best miner is always B. And then C is my secondary, and C is what swaps with my disco usually. But Saladin and Varel are in the first and last spot.
I leave my disco on F. Warships are A and B, and then C, D, and E are miners typically.
I'll pin a rose on your nose with all your decks.
No. That's beautiful, because if I had a dock F, I would love to put my disco there, because that means fuck it, disco, boom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
It is helpful.
You want to
I
walk
just like
us
to
walk
see
us out,
Danny
Cook?
besides me.
You want to close us out so I have a point for editing?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for another awesome week talking to you all. And hope to see you next week. Thank you, Handy, Sidious, Tiger, Danny, Drift. Thanks for coming on the show earlier, Como, from Bold. And, this is a great show. Thank you very much, everyone. Until next time.